Hello, my name is Karen Turman, and I'm thrilled to be here yet again for another talk on Prince. I just wanted to thank D'Angela and everybody who helps out with making these symposia come to life. I always learn so much, and I just have such a fun time here, and it's always an honor to share my ideas. So thank you so much. Let's jump right into it. Prince, as we all know, always kept his public on their toes, leaving us to guess his intentions, and everything he did was really intentional, and interpreted all in his music with little to no explanation. In the second track on the Love Symbol album, Sexy Motherfucker, this is one of those instances in which the aesthetics and visuals of the music video contradict the messaging of the lyrics. I read this video as a parody of a gangster rap video, playing on the tropes of the new subgenre of rap music that was then dominating hip hop. For example, Prince's aesthetic choices for Sexy Motherfucker echo NWA's Appetite for Destruction video from 1991. I do not see this as Prince mocking gangster rap, but rather messing with the critics who were questioning him, dabbling in hip hop, while also just having fun playing with these ideas in the video. On the surface, this video exhibits the cliches of gangster rap, most prominent of which is, of course, the objectification of women and the gun. Yet inside the lyrics, hidden between the choruses, we see Prince treating women with respect and embodying what we recognize today as consent culture. To this end, I will present a close reading of the iconography of Sexy Motherfucker with an analysis of the style, aesthetics, and sound of the music video. But first, let's take a look at Prince's amazing outfit. This suit is designed by Stacia during her brief yet iconic reign as head of wardrobe at Paisley Park from 1991 to 1993. This suit cut was made in several different colors, yellow with contrasting purple trim and buttons, purple with yellow, and fuchsia with yellow. Prince must have really loved this suit because he had previously worn the yellow version during the Diamonds and Pearls tour in 1992, when this line of suits was first made. We see the black and white version yet again on Troy Beyer, the female protagonist of the video narrative, in Prince, The Ride Divine TV special in 1992. Now, each version of this suit has dozens of small, contrasting, non-essential cloth cover buttons closely applied in rows along the front lapel from the neck down to the bottom front point along the zigzag hemline. The buttons continue down each leg from mid-thigh to below the knee, up the back of the jacket, just above the waist, and along the decorated cuffs of the sleeves. These button patterns were first seen on the purple and coral pinstripe suit that Prince wore for the music video of Party Man in 1989, designed by Helen Hyatt. Cassie Ritchie explains the genesis of this new 90s silhouette for Prince. Prince really started to properly find his silhouette during 1989, she states. For that period, the tailor was really important. It's a hyper silhouette, neither male nor female, completely unusual for typical men's tailoring. The Party Man suit is basically the blueprint of Stacia Lang's designs. From 1989, all Prince's tailoring comes from that point. The suit jacket is reminiscent of the extra long zoot suit sack jacket with extra wide shoulders. The unique cut hugs Prince's waist and hips, elongating both his torso with the arrow point hemline while also elongating his legs with the higher cut along the outer thighs. Besides the decor, the coat is actually practical too. It has some practical elements such as two large slits along the upper thighs that create panels designed for ease of movement during performance for Prince, much in the same way a tight skirt would have a slit up the leg in women's wear. And also we can see he needs this, especially when he has that wide-legged stance to point to his groin with the gun microphone. So very useful. The unique hemline or neckline opens up and rises up along his neck, allowing for an ample glimpse at Prince's chest hair while simultaneously covering up much of his upper neck. And this curved neck opening provides a circular shape to the silhouette, while the large cuffs of the sleeves also exhibit curved motifs reminiscent of the Art Nouveau style aesthetic. Art Nouveau was a decorative arts and architectural style in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, originating mainly in Europe and namely in France and Belgium. Famous names associated with this design movement included Hector Guimard, who designed the Paris metro stations at their debut in the 1900 World's Fair. Czech poster artist Alphonse Mucha, or Mucha's ethereal goddesses selling French products from cookies to champagne. And Victor Horta, who transformed Brussels' urban street facades with his asymmetrical, sinuous lines. The aesthetic foundation of Art Nouveau centered on natural motifs, the sinuous lines found in plants, vines, trees, and of course, the female form were incorporated into the basic shape of each piece, providing a certain beauty with each functioning object. As you can see down here with the clock is a good example of that. Prince's look here reflects the typical asymmetry and curved lines of the Art Nouveau movement with a uniquely elegant yet functional jacket piece. In addition, Lang has stated that the designs of this era reflected his interest in the film aesthetic of Barbarella, the 1968 sci-fi adventure starring Jane Fonda, with costumes designed by Paco Rabanne. And you can see other examples of Lang's designs during this time that exhibit that curved asymmetrical line, especially with the high neckline. Okay, the waistline of Prince's trousers rises to ultimate heights in this particular ensemble, a look that resembles a corset and which would be often used by Debbie McGuan in later designs that incorporated a short-waisted matador-style jacket. This high-rising waistline is not new to Prince's wardrobe, as of course, we've already seen plenty of this in the mid-80s, with most notably the Purple Rain Ensemble and various other iterations. However, extreme height of the pant cinched at the waist to accentuate an almost hourglass silhouette these are both new developments to this era. Or during this era, rather. In addition, the outrageously high waistline is well showcased throughout the video as Prince surprises the viewer with these hidden trousers halfway in. He cannot help himself and must join the scantily clad women showing off their skin during the music video. Now this, of course, brings us to the women. We have most notably Troy Beyer as the object of desire, and that rhymes, and Robin Power later as Beyer's body double in the hotel. Both are wearing the black bikini reefs, and we don't need to talk about those, but I figured we'd put the obvious reference to the Controversy album and Dirty Mind, of course, but this is basically just because it's D'Angelo's favorite album. So there you go. And then, of course, the women are both wearing black strapless bras. Beyer is wearing a collared pearl dress over her underwear, leaving nothing to the imagination, and also sports some slip-on pointed flats that are very confusing to me. Stacia Lang has made a similar top for Prince to wear, and Power wears a black long sleeve crop top with black bikini briefs and fishnet stockings, while Tracy Hudson sports a black lycra mini dress with a sparkly bodice. These women are clearly objectified throughout the video as they circulate among the poker players' laps, including Levi Caesar Jr., Michael Bland, and guest star DJ DMD, shown here with Robin Power. And they're also objectified both by the camera that focuses on various body parts, as well as the brief dialogue in the beginning of the video where Prince points to the three women with his gun-shaped microphone and refers to them each as you, followed by a direct command, get in the car. But here we have a visual contradiction in that Prince's body is on display just as much as the women's bodies. He centers himself in the objectifying, as Whitener explains. Prince capitalized on this vulnerability by exposing his body in ways that positioned him as an object to be dominated and consumed. Yes, this video primarily features clothed male bodies and scantily clad female bodies, but Prince provides equal exposure of his own body and therefore places himself in the position of being objectified and scrutinized by both the female characters and the viewer, upending the privileges often exerted by men as, quote, chief agents of objectification, according to Whitener. And in addition to the ostensible objectification of women, we have the various accessories and themes that mark references to the gangster rap era of music videos that dominated hip hop culture at this time. Prince was viewed as compromising his style by leaning further into the hip hop aesthetic in the early 90s, just as the subgenre of gangster rap was starting to dominate. Originating with Philadelphia rapper Schoolie D and Newark, LA rapper Ice-T in the mid 1980s, and gaining traction most notably with NWA in the late 80s in LA. Gangster rap depicted the culture of street gangs and often included iconography of guns, cars, crime, police presence, money, misogyny, and material wealth. The most prominent and commented accessory from this album is, of course, the gold gun-shaped microphone, as Cassie Ritchie explains in her new book. I'll give a plug for that on his royal badness. Check it out. Quote, quickly becoming one of Prince's most notable accessories, the gun microphone featured in a number of tours later in his career. When questioned about his stances on gun safety and the reason why he chose to perform with the gun microphone, Prince replied, quote, my words are of peace go into the gun and nullify its power, end quote. And that's from New Power Soul. In the context of the parking garage, the illegal gambling by the NPG gang, the multiple thick gold chains that complement his usual plain love symbol necklace at this point. And of course, prior to late 1989, it was always a crucifix. We have the identical BMWs driven by Prince's Game Boys gang, the sunglasses worn indoors. To all of this, the gun adds to the effect of a parody of a gangster rap music video. It is the ultimate accessory, and Prince appears to be using the gun for anything and everything but as a microphone. He uses it to point at the camera, at the viewer, to scratch his head, to fake shoot at the audience from between his legs, and most notably to point at his nether regions from an exaggeratedly wide-legged stance, among other gestures, which he can do thanks to the panels that allow him that mobility in the suit coat. So the gun is also integral in the hotel orgy scene in the bedroom where Prince is outnumbered by his female entourage. The gun is hypersexualized in each setting while maintaining the threat of potential violence in the parking garage filled with gang members, representing virulent power, an extension of the phallus, and Prince's dominating hypermasculinity. And yet, sonically, the coherent contradictions become more prominent. While Prince could be considered rapping in a monotone and smooth style similar to Will Smith's change of style in Summertime from 1991, possibly inspired by Rakim's style of rapping, the song itself reminds us of James Brown, full of hits on the 1 and 4, jazz riffs and extended solos, and an unstoppable groove that forges along like a train into the night. Prince calls out to his horns, to Tommy Barbarella, to Levi, and he adds in rhythmic commentary here and there. He even leads the band in a repetitive chant of sexy motherfucker shaking that ass, with a shift upwards in the melody that climaxes with sax solos and more hits that drive the groove to further heights until the song abruptly ends on the 1, leaving the listener exhausted and satisfied. The combination of jazz funk groove borrows from the James Brown model, of course, a known hero to Prince, who is also the most often sampled musician in hip hop beats. Yet Prince is still not really leaning into the hip hop sound prevalent at this time, in my opinion. A closer look at the song's lyrics reveals even further separation from the hypermasculine, male-dominated, and ostensibly misogynistic vibe of the video's aesthetic. According to Matt Thorne, Prince would introduce this song at concerts by saying, quote, this one's for all the whores. But then his lyrics reflect a contradicting message, more akin to the sentimental lover message in many of his previous songs. We have, no, not your body, you mind, you fool, that's what I want to do. So personality first. We're all alone in a villa on the Riviera, that's in France on the south side, in case you care. We know how obsessed he is with the south of France. And of course, this is for D'Angela as well, her favorite film, and mine too. Out of all your friends, I want to be the closest. That's why I tell you things so you be the mostest. This echoes very clearly what he's saying in If I Was Your Girlfriend. When it comes to life, to be this man's wife. So he's ready to get married, right? We've seen this before. You got to be well educated on the subject of fights and the prevention of, so learning how to build solid relationships with this person. This thing called love, it's non-objectifying. Are you up on this? We're talking about consent here. And if so, then you can get up off a hug and a kiss. And that's how I read the lyrics. I might have a mistake in what the lyrics are. It might be above a hug and a kiss, in which case it's sort of ambiguous. But I read this as him saying, hey, we can take it slow. We need to talk about things. Tell me what you do, because her interests are important. Tell me what you eat. I might cook for you. Envisioning a domestic future together. And he really has something about cooking breakfast for people, apparently. See, it really don't matter because it's all about me and you, monogamous commitment, no one else is around. I'm even with the blindfold, gagged and bound. This is a possible S&M reference, but he's clearly the one that is gagged and bound at her whim and giving her the agency and control. I don't mind. It's not about sex because it's about love, being in charge of this life and the next, spiritual love, a higher plane than just carnal lust. And while the cosmic talk, because I want to see if we are compatible spiritually. And I want you smart, promoting the education and agency of women yet again, to walk down the aisle. Okay. So, in Rena Klayman's essay in the Dystopian Dance Party zine from spring 2018, she brilliantly highlights the underlying message of consent culture in a comparative analysis of Prince's Head from 1980 with the remake of Head by Ice-T in 2000. She defines consent culture as centered on the concept of enthusiastic consent. I have the rest of her definition here for you to read, but I can't stop thinking about how integrated this message is throughout his music, and Sexy Motherfucker in particular, even mixed in with a song whose prominent message is seemingly calling a woman a sexy motherfucker who is shaking that ass, which is as tight as a grape. The overarching theme of Prince's lyrics in between the choruses is one of a man intent on courting a potential long-term life partner to the point of offering to make her breakfast based on her preferences, and eventually walking down the aisle after extensive discussion on morals and values, all that cosmic talk, right? Klayman sums up her comparative analysis of Head and other song lyrics by stating, do I think Prince's intention was to model enthusiastic consent in Head? Hell no, but his intention is beside the point, as we know, right? In fact, it just makes it more likely that the lyrics reflect his own worldview and values. Like the fact that he dressed as revealingly as the women who performed with him, it just shows how ingrained, how effortless the concept of mutual consent was for him. This message is even more extraordinary when we look at this video in the context of misogyny and the objectification of women in hip hop music in the early 90s. And in pop music in general, right? And the general reaction to Prince's new band and aesthetic as more hypermasculine, relying on cliche tropes of the hip hop or gangster rap aesthetic and ostensibly failing. In the background of this song and throughout the Love Symbol album and the Three Chains of Gold movie, we see Prince preparing for his first marriage with Maite Garcia in real life as well as in the film. Yet this is not unique to the Love Symbol tracks, as we have seen in countless other songs since the 1970s. As an added bonus, here are the lyrics of the Continental from the same album, and it just, to me, screams consent, and now I can't not see this in all of his music. So regardless of what he may have been experimenting with aesthetically at this time and how other people were interpreting it or projecting it onto him, Prince remains consistent in his messaging. Prince scholar Chris Aguilar Garcia reminds us that he may have appeared to be following the trend of hip hop music at the time, but if we delve deeper, it was unique from what anyone else was doing. He was always making it a Prince thing. Expectations were constantly changing, but Prince was always intentional about what he did, and it was unique to him. He was consistently responding, but never trying to recreate. The one question does remain, however, who exactly is the sexy motherfucker? I always assume it is Prince himself putting all those who question him into their place and confirming his superiority, even at a time when his mainstream popularity was waning. Reading this video as a self-conscious parody of what the world was expecting of Black male musicians at the time, while remaining faithful to his authentic self and the empowerment of his unique brand of Black masculinity, Prince ultimately demonstrates the embodiment of hip hop culture itself as a proud assertion of Black identity and culture. Thank you.